I hate my readers.
What's going on, guys? This is Matt Merenoff and my co-host Lee Perlman, Lee M. Perlman, Esquire.
Hey, everybody. Good evening.
Tonight, we've got Jeannette Wheeler. And I'm excited to have Jeannette on tonight. So tune in, buckle in. I hope your popcorn is nice and hot and your cold beverage is by your side.
What's going on, guys? This week we've got Jeannette Wheeler. She's an investor from Kansas City, and we're talking real estate.
So excited to go live with Matt and talk about everything that pertains to short sales in this 2021 landscape. We're both dedicated and have a mission to get you all the information that you need. Can't wait. See you soon.
Stop by April 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, guys, and we're back. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I'm really excited to have Jeannette Wheeler on tonight. Jeannette, you state that you're not a guru, you're not a social media expert, but you're very passionate about helping others and sharing the knowledge that you have in the real world truth, boots on the ground, and as you said, and other shit. You like to serve and educate both sides. What's going on in the market and collaborating with people like myself and Lee Perlman in the market. I don't know why I'm frozen, but can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, well, as long as you can hear me, that's all that matters.
You look good frozen.
Beautiful. It's a good thing I'm not drinking a beer. Anyway, so Jeannette, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you're up to right now.
Sure, you bet. Well, I don't want to delve too into it, but I've been on both sides of the HUD. For those of you who are familiar with the HUD, I've been on the short sale side. It was not planned. We had bought our dream home, and all of a sudden we're transferred. And this was in New Jersey. We're being transferred back to Kansas City, and as soon as we put on the market, first and foremost, we paid too much for it a little bit. We delve into it because I was wanting them to do that. I just wanted this home. And so I'm taking ownership of that. But the point is that it dropped $70,000 within 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And we had to move. We didn't have any opportunity to not move. And so we did. And in the interim, after being a realtor in Somerset County, having a realtor down in Toms River, Monmouth County, no one really knew what that meant. We were just short. And short sale, that word, that really wasn't relevant. Right. It wasn't something that fell off your lips. And so I experienced that. And after paying 2 mortgages for 8 months and then signing off on a note for the second, I realized I don't want anyone else to go through this. I mean, not only was it financially crazy, but just the stress. We couldn't enjoy being back in Kansas City with our friends and our family because we were stressed the heck out. And I made it my mission to figure it out and just did my due diligence and just taught myself what it was and did everything I could. And keep in mind, this is back in, that was 2006 that we moved, but it was 2008, 2009. I said, I'm going to figure this out. And 2009, 2010, 2011, just really hit it hard and found short sales, found people in dire need that needed my help. And I was there for them. I don't do huge numbers. That's not who I am, or that's not who I was then. I'm probably going to scale soon because my kiddos are happily both in college. But I just feel a passion for it because I don't want anyone to go through it. And you see all these numbers you see what's going on. There's a lot of shadow inventory that no one's talking about that's going to happen on June 30th, unless the CDC changes again. But there are so many people that are in dire need of our help, and we can help them, and we can protect them, help them move forward. And also for the end buyer, let's talk about the end buyer. The end buyer gets a heck of a deal. We've cleared up title. We've handed on a silver platter something that was just a hot mess. Who knows how many liens and all, ancillary things are going on, and we do that for the end buyer too. And they get a great home that they can call their own. They got a good deal. We helped the previous homeowner that was in distress, and that's what I want. That's what I want to do. That's why I have a passion for it, and that's why I don't right now go, oh, I'm going to do 100. I really take ownership of each family that I help, and I do it kind of under the radar because I don't toot my own horn, and this is extremely uncomfortable for me talking about this, to be honest with you. But I was like, I have a passion for it, and I know Matt does, and I know Lee does, and I just wanted to share just my personal information, what I know about it. And there's a heck of a lot I don't know, but I do know that people are people. They're not stats.
Let
So
me
you-
ask. Let
you
me.
were-
Go ahead.
you-
Lee.
First file, right? Sorry, Matt.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You were your own first file, essentially. You learned on your.
Yes, I was.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Matt. Go ahead. I didn't mean to
Good
interrupt.
way to put
No,
it.
no. It's okay. It's okay. So, I mean, so you've been around and you've been involved in real estate for many years. You had a real estate license in the state of New Jersey, correct?
Yes, sir.
How long were you licensed for in New Jersey?
Well, I was a guest licensed for 4 years. I was, off and on for 2. Went Weikert, which I love Weikert. And then,
We'll
again,
edit that out later.
yeah, well, yeah,
Okay.
well, we can have that off. But it was an amazing experience. But I was a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be there, and so it was. And as everyone knows, realtors can come and go as they please. They can really work, how they want and how they see fit based on their family values and their lifestyle. So I learned a lot about that. But what was so interesting is none of this ever came up. And I found that kind of godsmack, to be honest with you. I was like, holy crap, how does no one know about this? Because it didn't just happen in 2005, 2006, 2007. Short sales have been around for a long time, but it was never discussed. And when it happened to me, and my own realtor in Monmouth County didn't know what the heck was going on, I felt underserved. I felt annoyed that I didn't know. And does that answer your question? Like, I was a realtor.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the average homeowner themselves don't know what's going on. They have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
I know, and one of the reasons why I like working with Lee is because if I know ultimately they might have to go the bankruptcy route, usually when I
Breathing
talk,
up a little bit. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you quite. But
no,
the average homeowner has no idea, right?
the average homeowner has no idea
Yep,
what's
absolutely.
going on. And when I work,
I don't necessarily have an issue with that, guys, gentlemen. I have an issue with the real estate community at large not having their handle on this, and also thinking that short sale, I don't want to deal with it. That's too much trouble. Well, what's too much trouble? You're helping someone, and at the end of the day, there's a lot to be gained there. Not only from a monetary standpoint. I mean, my average spread was 22,000. Was it a lot of work? Heck yeah. But gosh, just like, even if I'd made, well, let's be honest, $1, that would, but because it's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding. And it's not as much work now because I've learned and understood that. And just, Matt, you understand, once you know the process and you know how to do it, and the rules and the laws and the processes, you can get it done. Can you do it every time? Absolutely not. But let's just help someone. And I just found it kind of just amazing that realtors just shy away from it. Or you'll have a few realtors that go, I get it, I like it, I'm going to figure this out. And those are the realtors that, as investors, we want to work with.
the thing is, for me, like when I speak with a homeowner, there's a couple of different variables that I look for. One of which is, do they have an excess amount of debt?
Right.
Because if they have a lot of debt, then I'm going to have that additional uncomfortable conversation with them and say, look, if you do have that extra debt and you want to relieve yourself, then you probably should speak with a bankruptcy attorney.
No
So
question.
I do a lot of
And Lee
handoff.
could definitely speak to that better than myself, but absolutely. Yeah. It's not always the best. And I think all three of us on this stage tonight, we want to do what's best for the client at all times, because that's what we want to do. It's not about us, but it just depends on kind of that fork in the road. Is bankruptcy, is BK the best way for you to do it and to move forward? Or is a short sale viable? Or is maybe a combination of both? There's often a combination of both. And that happens a lot with multifamily, which, let's be honest, guys, there's going to be a lot of multifamily foreclosures. And sorry, I'm just kind of going, because multifamily right now, you've got someone that owns a couple fourplexes and they haven't been paid because of the CDC. And what do they do? I mean, what the heck do they do? And they might lose, and that's their business. And so a BK might be good, or a short sale might be good, or maybe, it just depends. But it's always important to do what's right for the client, because they are people. And I keep on getting back to that. I know that sounds like a broken record, but if you treat people the way they should be treated, it's going to be always good in the end. And then you refer them on to someone else like Lee, or Lee refers them on to someone like, Matt or myself. Which, as long as we're doing the right thing, that's really all that matters to me. So does that make sense?
Can you guys hear me?
I feel like we're
It's weird because
yeah,
we're freezing up. There's a lot. I know there's
we're
an issue with.
freezing
Well, I
I'm
know
in
there's
the
an issue with
Ozarks.
Facebook.
Yeah.
No, I
I'm
know
in the
there's an
Ozarks,
issue with.
so we're in the middle of nowhere right now.
There's an issue.
You're on a little bit of a delay, Matt.
So I don't. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. What about now?
Is that better?
Yeah, it
Little
says
better.
it says we're having trouble streaming on Facebook. Currently, a bug that has caused this issue for users.
Oh,
Facebook
yay.
is working on it. I might actually mute out and just
It's
let
Bank
you guys
of America.
talk.
Bank of America is coming down hard.
I don't know about that. Lee, you might have to take over this interview because I think where I am, it's bad. So just keep talking, and if I
So Jeannette, why
Yes,
don't you tell us a little bit about some of your first deals and what some of your challenges were? I think people would love to hear about, talk to us about a couple of the deals. You're obviously really very passionate about what you do, as Matt and I are, and your philosophy, by the way, seems similar to ours. I mean, my philosophy always is I want to try to give the homeowner, the borrower, the mortgager options so they know what they can do. And that's why Matt and I work nicely together, because he's always presenting options to clients. And then I let the client decide. I go back and I tell clients, it's like President Bush used to say, you're the decider. I'm not the decider. I'm the lawyer. I can't tell you what to do. I'm here to give you options. So talk to us about maybe a couple of your first deals, or tell us a story about what was challenging for you. I think people like to hear it.
Absolutely. So it's so interesting because the first deal that I did was actually a double deal. I had been just marketing and calling on back in the day. This is back in the day, actually going through the MLS and looking for keywords of short sale or distressed or motivated. And I came across a beautiful home in Kansas City that was a short sale. And I called the realtor and I spoke with her and I said, hey, listen, this is the situation. I can come out, I can come in, I can put an offer on, we can stop the foreclosure. From that perspective, we can stop the foreclosure by putting a contract on it. It's not going to be, a BS contract, but let's talk about it. Met with her at the home, beautiful home. Ended up having, it was 2 homes that this particular client had built, thinking he wanted to kind of get into building. Long story short, we ended up working very well together. It was a regional bank, which is another thing that I think that if anyone's in short sales, it's much easier to speak with regional banks, local banks, because
Why do you find that as compared to the big banks?
because you're not just a number. Bank of America does not care. They are happy to foreclose. In fact, they will outbid you on the courthouse steps because they want that. You know why? Because they're going to add it to their tape and they're going to sell it and add it. Okay. So let's be brutally honest. You're just a number. You are a speck on a dog. You know, like you are the flea on the dog. You're like the speck on the flea on the dog with B of A. If you have a regional bank that has 5 locations, they want to move from one side of the ledger to the other. So having 2 non-performing assets, in this case, they were each $525,000. That's $1 million. So that's important. And so what I found is I said, okay, I'm gonna drive over there. I'm gonna walk in. I'm gonna talk to the president. Easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't easy. Okay. At any rate, couldn't do that at Bank of America. Okay. So,
but then you have the relationship for the next deal.
Right.
So you learn how to do it, which is what I'm hearing. You build the relationship. You have an open dialogue, and then when it's time to do the next deal, unlike Bank of America, where you're going to get a different representative, here you have an open line of communication.
Well, right. So that ended up closing both of those deals to two different end buyers. Thankfully, they were both cash buyers because back then, there's seasoning and all of these other things. And again, we're getting a little bit deep in that, but where you had to hold it for some time and blah, blah, blah. So if you have a cash buyer, that's great. And by the way, there's a lot of cash buyers out there right now. There are a lot of people that are pulling money out of stocks and or just for whatever reason, they're deciding they want to put money into real estate. So cash buyers is a great end buyer. Regional banks are great from a perspective of they want to offload this. I would say that every quarter is important from that perspective. So they're trying to offload and move things from one side of the ledger to the other, right? To get rid of non-performing assets. And the best day of the year, just as far as buying a car, is between the 25th and the 31st of December, because it's not only the end of the quarter, it's the end of the year. So I'm telling you, if you can just have relationships with those regional banks, again, you're helping them. It's not like you're trying to do something underhanded and you are helping them out.
We're going to pause for 1 second. We're going to take a commercial and we're going to be right back.
Commercial break.
I want to hear the rest of that.
Hi there, I'm Lee Perlman. I'm a consumer bankruptcy attorney. I've been helping people get a financial fresh start since 1994. You can reach me at newjerseybankruptcy.com or 856-751-4224.
We are back. I know Matt is taking careful notes, and I'm going to get critique later. So he's not on.
Don't worry about it.
So I want to hear.
You're so much more fun anyway.
No, I want to hear. So talk to me about. So we just got some really good tips. I just want to pause for a minute so the audience understands. You gave some really, really good information. I think a lot of people need to take stock of. One, you talked about dealing with regional banks as opposed to larger banks when appropriate, when you can. I think that's a really fantastic tip. And that comes from your, from your experience and from doing different deals. I think that's invaluable. And the other thing you talked about was timing. So repeat that again about the timing, because that's something probably a lot of people like to know. When is the best time to do these deals?
So, and this would have to do with any size of bank, but on a quarterly basis, again, you have to look and see are they fiscal or calendar, or actually, who cares? Just think about quarterly. They have to talk to their board of directors. They have to have a meeting about, assets and liabilities and 2 sides of the ledger. Again, I'm not a mathematician, but I just know it just makes sense, right? So they're trying to move non-performing assets over to the other side, and every quarter that comes up. So quarterly, okay, just again, January, February, March, okay, end of March, good time, and you go down the line. But the cool thing is that at the end of the year, And again, I'm not telling anyone to wait till the end of the year. For the love of God, don't do that. But you can really push some things at the end of for that last quarter, because they want to get it off their ledger, not only for the end of the quarter, but it's also the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's
does that make sense?
it. Yeah, people, it makes a lot of sense. And as we try and educate people on what's involved in a short sale, people don't understand. And we always say they're called short sales, but having been involved in many transactions, we know they're not short. They require a lot of work. And what you said before, I think, is also very important. They can have tremendous value for the, the seller. Once you can get that property teed up for the buyer, potentially void judgments and liens that are on the property, it's a win-win for the seller. So they can, they're not going to be involved with having a mortgage that
Right.
they're saddled with, right?
Yeah. So if you don't mind, let's circle back to the seller, because
Of course.
I hate to say it, I don't really care that much about the bank, but if you understand the bank's position, then you can understand how to sell them and push, right? So that's where that's coming from. From the seller's perspective, I want to help them get out of the situation and move them forward with dignity. And also, if it's judicial or non-judicial, and we're not going to go in that because it's kind of boring, but
Right.
in states that have the sheriff go down your cul-de-sac with all your neighbors out there, and they're playing basketball, and you're like, oh crap, embarrassing. Okay, they're already freaking out. They have their head in the sand. So if we can assist in doing something a little bit under the radar, assisting them in moving forward and getting rid of some of those liens, and even sometimes giving them a little bit of, as far as just peace of mind, because what they're doing is they're not opening their mail, they're not answering their phone, they're not doing any of that. They're like, holy cow, what are we gonna do? And there are 40 million people right now, or 40 million houses right now, that are on shadow inventory, and they feel like they got this hall pass. And that's not the way I meant that to come out. They've had an opportunity to kind of go, okay, we'll figure this out later. Well, later is now, dude. Later is now. I mean, it's May.
But you made a good point.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you made a good point. And, Matt and I see in some of the deals that we've done, and you've given the seller their dignity. You've avoided embarrassment. In certain situations, when it's a judicial foreclosure state, you've been able to get to them before the sheriff's going to get there. That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. Maybe get some liens that are on the property satisfied or taken care of, so they don't follow the seller.
Not
right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I get it done.
Always.
I'm like,
So that's important. and maybe, also what Matt and I have been able to do, and I'm sure you do, is time. Time is so critical. So if we can give people a little bit more time in their property while we're working to get the deal done, sometimes the bankruptcy is appropriate where there's other debt. Sometimes it isn't. It's a win-win. So, I mean, your philosophy is kind of similar to what we've done in some of the deals. And I like that way of thinking.
Yeah, you're right. And the breathing room, I mean, because they haven't probably been breathing for a while.
No.
And when they know that someone's on their side and is going to, I can't say this is going to happen. I can't quantify it that way. I know this is what we plan to do, and this is what I've seen in the past, and I'm going to work my butt off to get this done. But in the interim, start putting your stuff together and figure it out. And if we can avoid you having a foreclosure, a short sale on your credit versus foreclosure, and is so different. And also it gives them, I'm telling you, the exhale. And after everything of 2020, for someone to have to go through this on top of it, I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want them to do that. If someone's just not paying their bills and they've got like $50,000 in the bank from unemployment, we're going to have a convo about that, and that's going to come up, and I'm going to say bye. But I'll be like, sorry, there's too many other people that really need. And I worry about the kids, like having to leave and having that, I just want to help.
You want to
help
help
in the right way, do it in the legal way, just like you would do, Lee. But utilize the laws that are here and use them to the fullest extent, just like an IRS loophole.
We're going to be right back. We're going to take another commercial
All right.
break.
His energy, you can tell he's real. There's no BS talk.
Listening to Matthew Merenoff for a good amount of time, like a light bulb went off. I was like, wait a minute, I've got to learn more about that short sale process.
We are back.
You're still, you're cutting out a little bit, so I hope this this audio works okay. But you know what?
We
can always redo it.
We're back and we're live. And I wanted you to tell the audience a little bit about when you're working on a deal. Do you typically get the deal done yourself? Do you work with staff, or are you managing all the components of the deal on your own?
Yeah. So, right now I'm doing it all my own because my kiddos they kind of just left the nest.
That's awesome.
And to be honest with you, full disclosure, transparency, I tried the whole corporate thing, and because I'm extremely talented, I'm a little bit smart. I mean, don't let the blonde hair fool you. But I couldn't do it. This is just my passion. It has kept on like pulling me like a string, and so I'm back, and I'm going to scale, but I also kind of have to keep what's good for me. So I like to work on like maybe 5 at a time because it is a lot of work. But that's what I love about what Matt does, is because he really has that process. I'm really creative. Like, I find the deals, I talk, I close. And then when it comes to processes, I'm like, okay, that's boring to me, but it needs to get done, and it takes a lot of time. And so what I find super interesting about you guys is that you guys have a process where it's just stream, it's just like easy. Okay, forgive me, it's not easy. I know that, but you've streamlined it because you can take on more clients, and that's what I want to do. Yeah. I want to do that, but I also don't want.
You have a level of detail, so you're managing.
I do. I'm a Virgo.
You're making sure they get to the finish line. Right. So it's a different style.
Does that make sense? I honor what you guys like. I'm like so impressed with what y'all do, and that's why I came on here, because again, this is totally out of my comfort zone. Like, I'm an extrovert, but this kind of thing, like, I'm like.
No, but I think that people really like to hear about someone like you who manages the deal from A to Z, looks at all the different components, really takes the time to see what deal's best, how you're going to help, the seller, and how you're going to give them breathing room and a fresh start, really, which is what I do and what I fundamentally
I know that's what you do.
So I think those are great philosophies, and it's probably why you're so successful.
Well, thank you. And but I mean, again, I want to help more people, but again, I just want to align myself with people like you that have the passion, and then also just the integrity. I mean, integrity is huge to me, and that's just important to me. But I feel like I could help a lot more people, and I imagine that when you started, you're like, okay, this is what I love to do, and then you scaled, and it gives you joy to know that you've helped. I hate the word 10x because everyone's using that right now, but you know what I'm saying, Liz, like you can help so many more people because you've streamlined your process to help that many more people.
And that makes sense? You get a comfort level too when you do with the experience.
Yeah.
I'm 52. I started when I was 27, so it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, well, this is just what I do. I love it. It keeps on pulling me back, like an old sweater. I was like, I have to do this.
You tell people how they can reach you, because we like to let our viewers know how they can find you. With Can they email you? Can they call you? Tell us how to find you.
Yes. So mjwenterprises.com, and then well, I guess my actual phone number's up there. Oops. I was gonna put my office number, but and then Clubhouse at Jeannette W, and Instagram is Joko Wheeler. It stands for Johnson County, JOCO Wheeler, and just reach out to me. Like I'm just an open book, and I just want to help everyone. And if you annoy me, I'll block you.
Well, Jeannette, it's been a real pleasure having you. We really like
Thank you so much. I honor you.
The viewers really enjoyed it, and thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.